Well, hey there, folks. Welcome to The Roundup. We're a Cowboy State Daily podcast, and we focus on really interesting people in the Cowboy State. Our person today is so interesting, and you know what? We found her real close to home here, and so I can't wait to introduce you all to Piper Fennimore. But first, I want to tell you about a great podcast that's also Wyoming based. It's the Wyoming Business Alliance Business from the Basement podcast. They focus on not just interesting people, but people who know business, people who have experience in business. You've got tips, you've got advice, great things that you're going to get if you tune into the Business from the Basement podcast put on by the Wyoming Business Alliance. But don't go there yet. First, you got to stay put because we have to talk to Piper Fennimore. Now, full disclosure, Piper is here at Cowboy State Daily. She is a digital marketing radio advertising strategist. I do not have her title correct, and she'll correct me on that. But she is a strategist. She is so great at getting out there and fearless when it comes to showing people how advertising on Cowboy State Daily can help your business. But she's got an incredible backstory that brought her here to Wyoming. And so, good morning, Piper. We are so glad to have you at Cowboy State Daily, and I'm so tickled to have you here on the Roundup. How are you today? It looks like I see the reflection in the window. It's a beautiful day in Cody, Wyoming.
Oh, it is. Good morning, Wendy. It is. It's absolutely stunning. Nice and cool. Already got my 10 miles on my bike in this morning. So doing good.
Yeah, you're highly impressive. I haven't
Oh,
done that yet today. No, but I don't do 10 miles on a bike. Hello. So that's crazy. Piper, you're such a positive, you got such a positive energy and such a force. And we're so glad that you found your way to Wyoming. But you've got a myriad of things that you're so good at. And I kind of want to start from the beginning in telling your story because you didn't know anything about Wyoming growing up in
no,
Connecticut.
not at
That's
all.
where you started. Tell us about growing up in Connecticut. I want you to lead us to that moment when you were 7 years old and your life found a direction. Tell us about
Oh
this.
gosh. So growing up in Connecticut, tiny little town, kind of like if you know anything about Wyoming, kind of like Lovell, itty bitty or Basin, tiny little town, 4 miles by 5 miles. That sounds like a city block here in Cody, but it was a tiny little town, one blinking light in the middle of it. So it kind of what that's kind of what drew me and endeared me to the community of Wyoming, and because of those small towns with those wonderful qualities.
You had a love as a small child for cooking. In fact, when you were 7, you actually created your own cookbook. And folks, this is important because not only is Piper work for us here at Cowboy State Daily, Piper is a published author with a book called Seriously Delish. It is a beautiful book, and it's a very special book and a specialized book. And so we want to talk about how you got from being 7 years old creating your own cookbook to publishing your own cookbook that can be found anywhere, right? On Amazon. We've got it at several bookstores here in Cody. What tell us about your culinary journey.
So I guess I've always had a love for food, and having parents that kind of enabled you there was a good thing. French toast was a favorite, so I was always trying to tweak it. And even at 7, I have notes and rewriting recipes, and I don't know why, but it was just something that was so intriguing to me. Kind of like science, but you could eat it.
That's right. Very true. So you found a love for French toast. You found a love for tweaking recipes. How did that then influence your decisions as you grew older and decided what you wanted to do with your life?
Well, after high school, I wanted to go to Le Cordon Bleu in Paris. I
Ooh.
had the application ready. I was going to deep dive into French, and parents said, "Nope, you're going to college here in the States. And a great thing, I went to George Washington University, have a degree in marketing and great foundation for business and for setting me up for success. And so life just took a turn. And when I had an opportunity, I did go to Le Cordon Bleu, but here locally in the States.
Okay.
And yeah, valedictorian and
You
loved
go,
every
girl.
moment of it. I soaked in everything they had. Not that culinary was always something I loved. I used to have a library of cookbooks that kind of rivaled that of the Library of Congress. I had about 800 cookbooks. And
Whoa, where do you put 800 cookbooks?
well, in my move out west, I gave away a couple of hundred, and so now I have about 600. They're my resources, and I kind
Yep.
of pick through them while I'm designing different recipes or conjuring up the next deliciousness that I can can put together.
Your degree though got you some amazing, amazing work. The Ritz Carlton, hello, tell us about
Yeah.
that.
Oh, it's one of my favorite jobs that I had. First and foremost, they hired me sight unseen. It was the only job I didn't even interview for. They just said, "We heard your reputation. Come work for us."
Oh my
Uh,
gosh,
so,
that's
so I
great. How
did.
did you build this? How did you build this reputation? Where did you work?
Through my chef instructors at the Le Cordon Bleu, and I love performing at a high level, and the to me food is art, and there's so many details in it. When you're cooking, and you cook at the Ritz Carlton, you don't have recipes. You learn how to cook with your taste buds and your eyes. So you look at the details, you look at the presentation, everything it is in life is in the details, isn't it? Well, so
It
is food.
is.
Everything about food. My daughter says to me, "Mom, I don't know what you do to this food, but it's addictive." I said, it's the details. It's the details.
Wow. So you worked at Ritz Carlton in two places, right?
Yes. Sarasota, Florida, which was tons of fun. A largest event there was 950 people on a beach wedding. So that was a
Wow.
crazy, crazy time in the kitchen. And then up in Cleveland, where a lot of our guests were going to the Cleveland Clinic. We
Oh,
actually
sure.
had the Princess of Saudi Arabia come with her entourage of 80 people that we served daily, and she was attending the Cleveland Clinic.
Yeah. My goodness. Now, something happened that derailed your culinary career, and it sent you in a different direction to the benefit of a lot of people who love food but can't eat all of the food. Tell us about what happened to you. What were you diagnosed with?
It came out and it was very upsetting. Celiac disease. So everything about cooking at the Ritz-Carlton level and the way I cook is all about tasting. Like I said, you cook with your taste buds. And when with celiac, you can't cook at that level without making yourself very, very ill. And that's what was happening. So I had to pull myself out of the culinary industry from that perspective
That
for a
had to
number
be
of years.
absolutely, absolutely heartbreaking.
It was devastating. I lamented food, even being a chef, my world was turned upside down. Everything I knew about cooking was just scrambled. And it took me a minute to get my head around it. I between myself and my daughter, myself saying, "Hey, you're a trained chef. Snap out of it."
Yeah.
And my daughter saying, "Come on, Mom, you can do this. You can do this." She was the impetus behind pushing me to put all my thoughts, my recipes, my go-tos for being successful as a gluten intolerant person. into a cookbook. So,
Okay, so yes. So we're going to skip ahead here because you had a couple of different career changes in there that brought you to Wyoming. But let's talk about your cookbook. Seriously Delish. This is a beautiful book.
oh,
I
thank
mean,
you.
it's gorgeous. It's hardback. It's got incredible pictures. And that's part of what you do though, is the presentation. That's what you learned at Le
Yeah,
Cordon Bleu at the Ritz Carlton is presentation is a big deal. But for people who are gluten intolerant, and there's a lot of people out there who are, I mean, I know my daughter is, my mom has issues with gluten. It is something that it's a normal thing now, sadly, in America. But
it is.
you have come up with a book that makes eating well and eating pretty and eating delicious something that people who have gluten intolerances can still do. Tell us about your book.
So seriously delish. It, it's all the recipes that I use regularly, and they're not over the top fancy, but they can be. So you can use them every day, but you can also use them and put together a wonderful family brunch or an event that you're doing at home, and make it fabulous, and know that your guests are going to enjoy every bite. And that's the thing out there with people who are gluten intolerant. They're gun shy when it comes to buying gluten free food and cookbooks. I know when I first was diagnosed, I bought over a dozen gluten-free cookbooks to try and get my head around this, and I can't tell you the yuck I experienced with going through trial and error with these recipes and trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to make this so that it is gluten-free,
Delicious.
but indistinguishably gluten-free? That was the goal.
There you
So I
go.
guinea pigged a lot of people with recreating all these recipes. Even the hardest die-hard, ew, I'm never eating anything gluten-free because it's awful. People, I transitioned. They're like, I like, see, I got you.
There you go. That's fantastic. Now, where can you find Seriously Delish? It's on Amazon. I know that we've gotten a couple of bookstores here.
Yep. So I'm not on Amazon right now because I don't have physical inventory. So what I have right now is a pre-order on my website. So if you go
Great.
to theseriousfoodnetwork.com, you can pre-order my cookbook. My cookbook and the paired book. There's a kind of a help you through understanding best
Wow.
practices with buying, storing, cooking, to kind of to set yourself up in your home with a mini soup kitchen so that you can make this gluten-free life super easy. I also have these little videos on my website to kind of quick start you because it's so frustrating. I was frustrated, so I put together a couple of videos to kind of give you an insight, things to avoid, like check your toothpaste ingredients, make sure
Wow.
your grill and your toaster are two of the biggest culprits of glutening you because you inadvertently put bread or something on the grill, or you're sharing the toaster with someone who's not gluten
Yep.
intolerant. You just gluten me. Utensils, how to keep your utensils separate, what utensils to use, that sort of thing. So a lot of good coaching little videos there.
That's fabulous. I can't wait to include that in the show notes here, folks. So scroll down through and you're going to find the link to the website in the show notes here. So
Oh, thank you.
that's fantastic. And you've got, I'm going to plug here, you got something new coming out?
I do. I have, in terms of books or
Yes.
my.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's menu planning is what it's called, but it's on my website as a second book. It's not a hardcover. This one I'm doing kind of a magazine. It's something you'll just
Great.
use as a resource. So I have that as a pre-sale. It's ready to go. I'm just fine tuning that one. And then the relaunch of my first cookbook, I'm just going through some tweaking there. So looking to have it launched for my birthday in October. So October
Oh,
20.
that's great. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we've got this, you've got this background, this wonderful foodie background, and you are still using that on the regular, but your career shifted because you had to pull yourself out of the kitchen. But events was something that you knew from working at
Yeah.
the Ritz Carlton. Tell us
Yeah.
about switching to events and marketing and using that degree that you got from George Washington University.
So I had an opportunity to move from the Ritz Carlton in Cleveland down to the Cincinnati area to work in a historic venue doing events. So events being weddings or corporate events, fundraisers, things of that nature. But also doing a large festival. So it was a New Year's Eve festival that I grew from 2,000 to 6,000 people,
Ooh,
which was kind of fun. Ball drop and all. It was called Ball on the Square, and I had a lot of fun. Shut down streets. Everybody was having a great time. Vendors, the whole nine yards. So, being able to do different sized events was just a lot of fun and develop that creativity within me to be able
exactly.
to do any sort of event that needed to be done. So
So you
it
did,
was
yeah, so that helped to feed, like you say, that creativity that you were missing from the kitchen.
yes, exactly.
Yes. And then that
Exactly.
took you into a different area of marketing, but it also took you out west. So let's talk about coming back out here to Wyoming from Ohio because your daughter actually was the one that hooked you out here. Tell us about
She
that.
did. She and her husband moved out during COVID. They were in New York City and moved out to Colorado because they couldn't stand being cooped up and said, let's go someplace where we can ski. And so they loved it so much. They said, Mom, you've got to come out here. And so life changed and I had the opportunity. And being a girl from Connecticut, you come out skiing and experience the West only in the wintertime. So this gave me a chance to find out, oh wow, look at this place. It's stunning. And never had I had an opportunity to go to Wyoming. It just wasn't it Wyoming
Wasn't on
just
your
wasn't
list.
part of the agenda.
Yeah.
So I broke the border. I went up to Wyoming and just discovered absolute gorgeous and everything from the Beartooth Highway to Yellowstone to oh my goodness to Cody, of course,
Of
because that's where
course.
I've been for the past 4 years. There's so much in Wyoming to love and enjoy.
Yes,
I'm
there is.
hooked.
There is. So you found yourself because you had the marketing background, you got a job at the Bighorn Radio Network.
I did, which gave me a great opportunity to really dive into this state. Wyoming to me is just one big small town with really long roads,
It's exactly
and
right. That's exactly
and
right.
and it gave me a chance to meet so many people. You know, eh, Wyoming has the quintessential small towns. They're all owner operated stores with families behind them, and they're impassioned about what their business is about, no matter what their business is. And I had the opportunity to help them stay in their business mindset so they could focus on their business while I helped them focus on their marketing. And through Bighorn Radio, that's what we did.
Isn't that
Yeah.
great to be able to kind of shift that direction? And that's how I first met you. So
Yeah.
that's I think that is one of the things that's so fun about, like you say, Wyoming is the people that you end up meeting. And
Oh,
then,
yeah.
but you do more than just your job. I mean, there's those of us who are nuts and we can't just do one job. We have to do a lot of different things. And that's something that you also do. You found a passion for and you I'm sure you made the connection with this organization through Bighorn Radio Network, but
I
there's an
did.
organization in Cody called Downrange Warriors. And
Yes.
you're the child of a military parent.
Yep. My father was Navy. And so Downrange Warriors, I met the founder, Todd Bray, 4 years ago at down when he came in to have a public service announcement, recorded and aired. And so I actually recorded it in my voice for them. And we just started the relationship from there. And now they're in a position where they can start doing a bit more development. And so I'm helping them a little bit more in my off hours to just to get the word out, get more people involved so that they can help more people.
Tell us
Down
about, yeah, tell us about what they're about, because I think that there's so many people that could benefit from their mission and how they go about their mission.
So the mission is to support veterans, people who have served our country, and first responders with their struggle with PTS and suicide. And this organization knows how to do it. They put together a very small group, um, uh, kind of coaching through your trauma and help you recognize what it is and let you know that you're not alone. It is
Yes.
an incredible program to go through. I was privileged to be able to go through the program with individuals who said, "Yes, go ahead. You please join us." Because they knew what my heart was, they knew where I came from, and together we grew. I benefited just as much as everyone else did through it, and it's wonderful. And the program doesn't end in just the 12 to 15 weeks that it goes on, because
Mhm.
the trauma that these individuals experience, they're given the tools on how to cope with it so that they can be the person they want to be for their family, their spouse, and their children, and be part of the community that they live in. But life happens. You get
Yes.
triggered. So when it happens, Downrange Warriors is still there for you. So they have a community that you can reach out to at any moment. And I see our Downrange Warriors family all throughout Cody, all throughout the basin, where they mainly are located. And it's wonderful to see how people are doing, to see the smile on their face, to get the hug, to give the hug, and to know that you're part of a community that's really making a difference among our service members and our first responders, because they need us. They need
They
us.
do. It's a great program. I was so fortunate to be able to get to know Todd and the group when I was at the Bighorn Radio Network and interviewing them for Party Line and doing news stories and things like that. Really a fantastic program. I'm so glad that you're helping them out with
Yeah.
this, Piper.
And it's funny because people always say, "Oh, they with PTSD," and I'm like, "No, it's PTS. It's not a disease, because this is normal reactions to incredibly abnormal situations that these individuals have been placed in. And we just need to help them get to the other side of it and be able to contend with those traumas." So, yeah.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. I'm so glad you're shining a light on that. I want to put a link to that in the show notes as well,
Oh,
folks.
thank
If you
you.
know somebody who could really benefit from the community and the coaching and the really soul searching and exorcising demons that Downrange Warriors can help with. I'm very glad to shine a light on what they do.
Oh, thank
So
you.
I think that's
Appreciate it.
fantastic. Yes. So Piper, you have so many things on your plate. You've got projects, you've got a great life in Cody. What's next for you? Are just kind of keeping up with all of these things, promoting Cowboy State Daily? What's your life like right now?
Oh, it's all about getting life done, and Cowboy State Daily is a huge passion. I love what we do here at Cowboy State Daily. I love the honesty of our reporting.
Hmm.
I love all of the work that our team puts into putting together a daily newspaper that's delivered every morning 5:15 to your to your email box. It is free, so sign up.
Please.
You'll really enjoy it. It's great. It's local news. It's and I mean local Wyoming news.
Yes.
Um, and we touch. I mean, we touch every subject out there, from
Yep.
silly to sassy to serious, and
I
it's
like
great.
that. That's great. Yes, that's true. That's exactly what we do. Silly, sassy, serious. Yeah, we got to
Yeah.
make that into our a part of our logo. Yes.
And it's wonderful. And there is not a soul that I have run into who doesn't have the newsletter delivered to them, and they can't say enough wonderful things. Oh, that's the only thing we read.
Yeah.
I just was walking my dog the other. Oh, that's the only thing we read. Isn't that the only thing everybody reads?
Shouldn't it be, folks?
I
Shouldn't it be?
it,
That's
it
great.
is, and I
Yes.
love hearing it. It just reinforces and invigorates my passion about getting the word out there. So, what I'm doing is developing business from a marketing standpoint, from businesses to advertise with us, but also we're growing that radio segment, which I think is so important. Radio really truly is the backbone, the grapevine for Wyoming and Wyomingians. It is fabulous. This is where we get our news.
Yeah.
So, and Jake Nichols, our host on the weekday program, and John Baggett on Saturdays, they're both fantastic. They've got great personalities and they've got fantastic guests on their program. It's just wonderful. Tune in. I listen to it in the background when I'm getting up in the morning and getting
There you
ready.
go.
And it's great. I love it.
It is. It's awesome. We are so blessed to have such a great team. And now we've got Piper Fennimore, so we are even more blessed. Piper, this has been such a fun conversation, and I'm so pleased that you have brought your talents and your skills and your background and the way you look at the world to Cowboy State Daily, and now to the Roundup. This has been so fun, and just I'm so glad to see your smiling face every day.
Well, thanks, Wendy. I love working with you. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And folks, thank you for tuning in. We're so glad that you came aboard with us on this episode of the Roundup to get to know one of the really interesting people in our cowboy state. You know, we've got so many of these conversations that we've had. We've got well over a year and a half's worth, unique episodes every week for the last year and a half plus. So tune in, go on back to our archives and see who you might have missed, who you should get to know here in the Cowboy State, because we've got them right here. Tune in next week. We've got another great guest coming up next week. Until then, have a fantastic week. Thanks, Piper.
Thanks, Wendy.